All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, April 4th. We have a very small MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Yeah, just 6 games, and 2 of the games involve the same team. Our first doubleheader of the year. But like we always do, guys, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'll give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any player props that I like within the game as well. But make sure you guys keep an eye on the pinned comment. That is where all of my final plays, what I'm actually rolling with myself, all of my final plays will live. In terms of last night, we'll take the nice 4-1 night. There's 4-1-1 because Adrian Hauser, that game gets postponed. But our only loss goes into, I think it was the 11th inning. The Diamondbacks here, don't get the job done. The Yankees, Alex Verdugo, literally leadoff home run in the top of the 10th, and then the Diamondbacks miraculously score 2 to tie it, and then poof. The Yankees end up winning that one 6-5, I believe the final score was. So hard-fought game, but they don't get it done. But Carlos Rodon, we pegged that perfectly. The first 5 over in the Guardians and Mariners for plus 120. I'll take it. We can abuse the soundboard today. We also had the Cardinals and Padres Yerfy. Yes, sir. And then the Blue Jays and Astros Nerfy. No, sir. We hit a bunch of plus money plays yesterday, so very, very happy to see that. When it comes to our daily dinger, did a little something different for today's video. We saw 3 people in the comments yesterday say Yordan Alvarez was going deep. Shout out to Royce, Chris, and Mitchell, giving 3 shout-outs there. Maybe we'll mix that up sometimes, because what I'll do is I'll find the comment, and I'll pick it for the person that went deep, and then I'll be able to search and say, okay, did anyone else say this? And then we can potentially give some, multiple shout-outs, I guess, in videos. So the more, the merrier in my brain. But again, guys, the daily ding, we're still kind of workshopping how we're going to do it throughout the year and everything like that, or if there's, hint, hint, some prizes for people that we select and whatnot. We'll see. But if you don't know what the Daily Dinger is, all you got to use, and you got to use the hashtag Daily Dinger in the comments and drop a name of a player you think is going deep today. And then come tomorrow, I'll pick someone that got it correct and give you a shout out in the next video. But all right, we ready to get rocking and rolling on a small and honestly not the best MLB slate. Let's do it. We got the game number 1 here of the doubleheader because of all of the postpones that have happened with these 2 teams. This is the matchup that should have happened 2 days ago, and then yesterday, and then got postponed again. But we have the Mets taking on the Tigers. Adrian Hauser on the bump for the Mets here. Right now, Mets minus 130 on the money line. Total sitting at 7. I can't imagine, based on the weather and everything, that this is going to be, a clear skies and sunny type of a day. I do, at first lean towards the Mets just because of the fact that we've leaned them in the 2 spots prior and they didn't end up playing. This is the same matchup, but what I will say is, like, the data isn't necessarily on my side here for this one. Like I keep telling you guys, this is almost a spot where I'm just saying I think the Mets are due, blah blah blah, which isn't always the best spot. But again, this Mets team to start the season 0-4, Detroit to start the year 4-0. Casey Mize on the bump here for Detroit. The last time he pitched in what was it, 2022? Potentially, he didn't look all that great. We have Adrian Hauser, who, yes, new team, and he's been probably eager to have his start for the Mets here as it's his new team. He pitched decently to close out the year, so I'm going to trust that the Mets kind of bounce back from an 0-4 start to the year, and I'll lean them on the money line. And I also like the under due to that weather. But what I'm saying here, and like I've said in years past, which if you don't know that I feel this way, this is pretty good to note. I hate betting doubleheaders, and if I'm going to bet a doubleheader, I'm pretty much only going to be looking at the first leg of it, because you never know what's going to happen with leg number 2 or anything like that. So if we were to bet Mets Detroit today, it's probably going to be this game or nothing. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. It is weird, but we've had the Hauser under in strikeouts. We'll see if we like that again today for the value that we're getting. We've had the Mets on the money line 2 days in a row now, and all have gotten postponed. I'm sitting there being like, are these signs that I shouldn't pull the trigger? But nonetheless, give me the Mets on the money line as well as the under. And then for game number 2 here, like I said, I'm probably not going to touch this. In fact, we don't know who's pitching for the Mets in game number 2. Matt Manning on the mound for Detroit. But again, all my sort of sentiments carry through. It's like I think the Mets are due. We'll see what happens in game number 1, but they play at 12:10, and then I think either 3:10 or 3:30. So quick turnaround for this one. It's probably not going to be the best spot to bet no matter what. And honestly, all the lines and everything that we're seeing right now are going to be for game number 1 in this series. So this is probably a moot point, but I'd still lean the Mets and the under. But again, with that sort of being said, I'm only going to be betting game number 1. There's like a 0.00001% chance I bet Mets money line again if I like how they look in game number 1, because I said if they're going to bounce back, I don't hate them, looking good offensively against two righties kind of 3 hours apart from one another, if that makes sense. So small percent chance, but my thoughts on the games are kind of, I guess aligned in terms of who I think is going to win. All right, Washington taking on Pittsburgh. So far, this has been a decent series. Pittsburgh gets game number 1, 8-4. Washington gets game number 2, 3-5. That was yesterday. This is the last game of the series. I will say Pittsburgh probably not looking too excited to come home and have their home opener series against Baltimore, which is obviously a good team. Washington has Philly coming into town, so both these teams probably want to get out of this game, to be completely honest, because they just it's not the best look ahead spot for them. But in this spot, we have Martin Perez on the mound for the Pittsburgh Pirates here. And then the mound for Washington is going to be Josiah Gray. Josiah Gray did not look good in his opener. We kind of felt that way. In game number 1, that was opening day, they played Cincinnati. We bet Cincinnati on the money line. He pitched 4 innings, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, did have 6 strikeouts, let up 2 dingers, 2 base on balls, and pitched 20 pitches per inning there. And in terms of, I guess what we were looking at from him, he had a whip of 2.5 and an ERA to start the year here at 15.75. So nothing to brag about for him. Martin Perez didn't look all that terrible. I mean, they didn't really need much from him due to the fact that they were crushing Miami, but he pitched 4 1/3, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 2 strikeouts, 3 base on balls. When it comes to his whip, it was 2.08, same with his ERA. So it wasn't like he went out there and, crushed it, but definitely did have a better opening day start than we see on the Josiah Gray side of things. In terms of my lean here, this is a spot in which Washington, to start the year has been pretty damn bad against lefties here. The 3rd worst batting average, batting just 167 against lefties. The worst in the league, WRC plus offensively against lefties. So I think that it's going to be a lean towards Pittsburgh, who have a nearly 300 batting average to start the year against righties. Obviously, Josiah Gray pitching from the right side. That is good enough for 2nd in the league. And then even when you look at WRC plus K percentage, based on ball percentage, this is a team that to start the year offensively against righties is a top 10, 12th for WRC plus, but top 12 in all of those categories. So offensively, I think Pittsburgh kind of sets the tone today. The question being how many runs are going to be scored in this game. I'm going to lean slightly towards the under. I do think there's going to be, I think this is going to be like an 8-run game. So I think that Pittsburgh may win this game 5-3, kind of if I had to put my, my money on it, which we're not betting exact scores here, but I do think Pittsburgh could be a final play here in this spot. Again, I'm trusting Perez over Josiah Gray, but again, it's his 2nd start, right? There's a lot of times in the MLB where a guy has a bad opening day and then comes back and kind of shoves in his 2nd start because, the jitters opening day and all that. So we're still not fully into the data sphere of the MLB, obviously. So just keep that in mind. But I do still think Pittsburgh, off to a decent start this year, 5-1. Washington 2-3. I wouldn't be surprised if Pittsburgh wins the series 2-1. You know what I mean? But let's move on to player props here. I do have one that I'm liking. It's going to be Rowdy Tellez under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He's hit this only in 1 game this season. It wasn't a home run against Miami, and I want to say, what was that? That was the 2nd or 3rd game of the season. But he's going up against Josiah Gray, who I am a little worried about, right? But we have a guy that really is not a get-on-base type of a guy, so that's why I'm looking at his under his under hits, runs, and RBIs, and not necessarily his bases, because one hit doesn't kill us here, right? Even if he gets on base, gets to first base with a single, like this is going to be a guy that does not easily advance. He's not necessarily a barn burner. So again, his play for under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs has a little bit more value than taking, for example, his under 0.5 bases, because I don't think that the Pirates necessarily get him through. My one concern / issue would be, does Josiah Gray blow up? Does he walk guys around? Everything like that, I'm not exactly sure. Now, what I do like to see is the fact that Rowdy here against sliders, which is going to be Josiah Gray's #1 pitch, his K percentage jumps from 24%, which is already a pretty high K percentage, right, all the way up to 31%. His WOBA drops from 288, which isn't all that great, down to 258. So I do like this spot for him here and everything. In fact, let's jump into Outlier. If you guys want to check out this tool I'm about to show, I got a 7-day free trial link in the pinned comment. Even after the 7 days, it's $19.99 a month. Super manageable when it comes to money there. But look at this. This is the slider, right, coming in from Josiah Gray. He loves to pitch it down and in to lefty batters like, Tellez is. All he likes to hit is sliders that get hung up here in the top right corner. So this is not a very good spot for him. And like I mentioned, his K percentage drops from 25 all the way down to 31. His batting average 233 against righties. Like, this isn't a very good spot for him whatsoever to be able to get multiple hits, for one, and then two, even if he gets on base, like I said, he's not necessarily the best and most barn-burning base runner out there. So definitely a player prop that we could consider for today. All right, I know I just talked about Outlier and I just showed you a little brief thing, but why don't we jump in so I can kind of show you exactly what I'm talking about, how good this tool is. This is the player prop screen. You could see every player prop that's out there. I have it filtered to the odds that I want to be able to view, but you can view literally everything. You can filter over, under, even the type of props you want to look at. But they have a last 5, last 10, last 20, head-to-head this season, dating back to, I want to say, dating back to last season. You have this season overall, and then last season overall for hit rates. You can even go in and say, okay, you know what? Let's look at that. We can go back and see the Tellez one, or Tellez. You could see, okay, well, he's hit this 80, 75. Looks pretty good. Let's break it down. All right, we can see his last 10, last 20, head-to-head, all that good stuff. We have supporting stats down here. We have every pitch that the opposing pitcher is going to throw. Obviously, their percentage they throw it, so we know what to focus on. But we can see how the other batter faces well against that. And then this is obviously great. Just looking at the heat maps and what these batters do against it. You have an average for literally every single spot on here. But there's more stuff. You can look at this Pittsburgh lineup against right-handed pitchers versus Josiah Gray in the past, and everything like that. Injuries on the side, insights, which are going to be trending plays in this matchup. Very, very cool, guys. Again, that link in the pinned comment. Go get yourself 7 days free of Outlier. I don't know why you're not. I don't have a good reason why someone wouldn't try it for 7 days. If you don't like it, you know what? Then you don't have to continue, right? But guess what you're going to do? The worst thing that happens is you're going to think you're going to be a sleazeball and be like, I'm going to get 7 days and then not sign up. You're going to love it so much, you're going to be like, all right, fine, take my $19.99 a month. So if you're afraid of that, don't go check out the 7-day trial. But this literally is a great one-stop shop for all of your player prop research. All right, Minnesota taking on Cleveland. I do think this is going to be a good game. Right now, Minnesota favored at -144. The odds for Cleveland are going to be +130. On the mound for Minnesota is a guy that's tough to fade, and I'll tell you what, we're fading him today in terms of our lean. But Pablo Lopez getting the rock here for Minnesota, going up against Tanner Beebe, who I also definitely like. He didn't have his best first start of the season going up against Oakland. They win the game 12-3, but he only pitched 4 innings, allowed 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, but 5 walks, which is absolutely garbage to see, right? An ERA of 6.75 and a whip of 2.75. So you're probably thinking, why the heck could I be back in Cleveland? Well, I'm going to back their offense here. This is a team versus a righty to start the year, has been really hot. 250 average, which is okay. You know what I mean? It's not tremendous, not all that bad to start the year. But what I will say is WRC plus, their top 5 team to start the year. They don't strike out much, which is where Pablo Lopez is going to have, an upper hand in a lot of cases. You know what I mean? So I will sit here and be like, okay, you know what? Yes, we have a pitcher on that side that is absolutely tremendous and one of my favorite pitchers to bet on and watch in the league, right? He's kind of a low-key, get the freaking job done and shove it type guy. But if he doesn't have his ability to go out there and strike out 7 guys, like I think it could be tough for him to do today, there's a little bit of like, there's the pitching edge that kind of drops off. Now, that being said, his strikeout line is 5.5. I could be kind of crazy here and also take a peek at the under 5.5 for plus 120. 3 straight starts against Minnesota. He's had 5, and 3 strikeouts. And again, it's almost like the reason why I'm taking a lean on Cleveland as well as maybe fading Pablo Lopez tonight because of that strikeout spot. Had they been even middle of the pack when it comes to strikeouts, I trust Pablo Lopez and go out there and shove it, right? So we shall see if we make the final play here to take Cleveland at, those odds being plus 130. Like, I just think that there's value there in a sense. If we were to lean towards Minnesota, yeah, they have the better pitcher and quite honestly, probably the better team, but their offense hasn't really kicked it into gear as much as you'd like to see here. So if you're betting Minnesota, you're betting on Pablo Lopez today, not necessarily their offense. I'm more willing to say, okay, you know what, give me 9 guys against 1, even though Pablo Lopez is so freaking good. The total sitting at 7.5 here in this one. I guess if Pablo Lopez isn't going to strike guys out, part of me wants to lean towards the over, but it looks like we're going to have some strong winds coming in towards the plate. So I'm gonna probably lean over, but not bet it. Again, it doesn't seem like if I was on the Twins and Pablo Lopez to go out there and shove, I'd probably correlate that to looking at the under, right? But I think Cleveland has a sneaky decent offensive game today, and we're looking at a slight over. But again, Cleveland's going to be my spot. And like I said, from a player prop perspective, I don't mind taking a shot. It's a shot, guys. Maybe a quarter unit play on Pablo Lopez under strikeouts. It sounds crazy, and it is. But for plus money, plus 120 right now doesn't seem like the worst play in the world. Then we got Brian Rocchio here on the Cleveland side of things, over 0.5 bases. He's done it in 5 of his 6 games this season. He has a bunch of bases. He's averaging 1.7 bases in his last 10. But if you look at his last 5 here, 1.8 bases. And to start the year, 1.83 bases. So everything looks good. He's batting, dating back to last year, over 300 against right-handed pitchers. His ISO jumps a little bit as well. And Pablo Lopez, actually, versus left-handed batters, which is where, Rocchio's going to be on the side when facing him, as he's a switch hitter. Is he a switch hitter? I believe he is a switch hitter. Lopez's batting average jumps from 238, overall against to 271. Slugging jumps up about 40 points, and then his ERA even jumps into the 4s. So this could be a spot in which we have a perfect matchup against Lopez to get on base here. And again, all we're looking for is 0.5 bases for minus 135 odds. I'll take that. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. Obviously, you can probably tell I'm fired up about this game because it's by far and away what I think is the best game on today's slate. All right, next up, we got St. Louis taking on Miami here. St. Louis, heavy favorites, and I guess, makes sense why in this spot here. St. Louis to start the year 3-4, which you're like, what? That's not that great. But Miami, 0-7 to start the damn year. And like I said, kind of until further notice, I'm not necessarily going to back or even lean towards Miami. Let me see that you can even play baseball to some degree before we start looking at you and saying, okay, let's back it. You know what I mean? So I am going to lean towards St. Louis. My one concern here would be St. Louis hasn't really had the best track record this year of runs against, averaging, I think it's nearly 5 runs against. So does Miami have a good spot today? Potentially. On the mound for St. Louis is going to be Lance Lynn, who looked decent in he's not going to be the guy that goes deep into the games, but he looked decent in his first start, which good for him. His first start was against the Dodgers. He goes 4 innings, 4 hits, 0 earned, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. So like I said, good for him, but they knew when to pull that guy. But I do think that he has a good chance against Miami today as in terms of where they rank from an average WRC plus, K, walk percentage, all that, middle of the pack at best. They do have a better batting average versus the hand that they're facing today than St. Louis. St. Louis actually the worst team in the league when it comes to facing facing lefties right now from a batting average perspective. And again, on the mound for, actually I haven't even said it yet, on the mound for Miami is lefty Ryan Weathers. The problem here is I don't think Ryan Weathers is really going to have his you-know-what together, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a concern. So I'm going to lean towards St. Louis, the heavy favorite in this spot. I do think we're going to see plenty of guys on base today, so I'm also going to lean towards the over. We should have, clear skies in St. Louis. Should be a little cold, but, a crosswind. Nothing that really is looking like, when I say clear skies, I mean no precipitation. I do think that there's going to be clouds if, my weatherman Ev is correct here. But I don't think there's going to be any precipitation or anything like that. And again, I think there's going to be plenty of guys on base, meaning I want to lean towards Ryan Weathers over walks. I don't love that it's 2.5 right now. If this was 1.5, I'd be all over it, but no kidding. His line is at 2.5. He walked 2 guys in his first start of the year, but the St. Louis team walks a ton. In their last 30 games overall, the number 1 team versus left-handed pitchers when it comes to base on ball percentage, and they're the number 1 team so far this year when it comes to walking. They're averaging plenty of walks here against lefties. So yeah, that's probably my spot when it comes to player props in this game here. But St. Louis has a chance of being a final play. My one thing is, like, the contrarian in me thinks at some point Miami has to win a game, right? So though we're not betting on Miami, is it that smart to continue to bet against them? We'll see. All right, before we do jump into the last game, I'm going to ask you guys to smash that like button and that subscribe button. Act like it's your, the like button's your bookie, and the subscribe button is your bookie's right-hand man, and you're coming in with a mean right hook. Go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe button, guys. And we've been going live randomly a little bit lately, so make sure you have the notification bells on. And if you've made it this far into the video, comment NOTI, N-O-T-I. Let me know you made it this far and that you heard me say you should have the notification bell on, because I'm tired of people saying, oh, I didn't know you went live, I missed it. It's like, YouTube's got you hooked up. All you gotta do is click a button. So go ahead and comment NOTI if you made it this far in the video, and make sure you guys are subscribed. Great start to the MLB season, both picks-wise as well as viewership, and I have that, the picks, sure, I'll own that, but I have you guys to thank for the engagement and all the support and everything like that. So very, very excited. If you aren't aware, and I'm sorry if you are aware because I keep saying this, but I went full-time 3-1, so about a month ago here, kind of coincides right with baseball starting. I could not be more stoked to be making this content, getting up early, making the MLB video, making the NBA video, doing the shorts content throughout the day. Very, very excited for what is to come. And I promise you, if there's one thing I can promise you, are the picks always going to hit? No. But I can promise you we'll show up more than anybody and grind our absolute asses off. So hitting that subscribe button may be a good investment for you. It's free. Let's go ahead and jump into the last game of today's slate. All right, Kansas City taking on the White Sox in this spot. Kansas City off to, I would say, a surprising start, 2-4. Like I said that they're going to be terrible. They have a couple decent wins in there. One against Minnesota, one against Baltimore. And I know 2-4 doesn't sound great, but they haven't had the easiest dealings to start the year in terms of matchups. But neither have the White Sox. The White Sox playing Detroit, they get swept by them, and then they actually take their last game against Atlanta here. So I guess credit to them. And I do think that there's part of me that looks at this and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to be on the White Sox today. I think the hitting's going to be fairly similar. We have 2 righties on the mound this season so far. Kansas City ranked all the way down at 21st when it comes to batting against right-handed pitchers from an average perspective, and the White Sox 23rd, so right behind them when it comes to a WRC plus spot here. Kansas City 17th, White Sox at 20th, and then it actually starts to tilt towards the White Sox in terms of metrics that I'm looking at here. Strikeout percentage, White Sox 16th. None of these are good numbers. I'm just saying, relative to one another. Kansas City all the way down at 24th, based on ball percentage, 19th for the White Sox. Kansas City 27th, the 4th most strikeouts against right-handed pitchers to start the year. So when I look at that, I say, yeah, Kansas City is the better ball club. But against righties here, which is kind of the equalizer, the hand that the pitcher is throwing, you do have, one team minus 164, one team plus 143. I think there's value on potentially taking a peek at the White Sox here today. The thing that you could probably call me crazy for is Michael Soroka's on the mound for the White Sox, going up against Seth Lugo for Kansas City. Soroka in his first start this season, 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 0 strikeouts, 3 walks, and a home run let up. Kansas City's pitcher, Seth Lugo, hell of a lot of a different story. Does that even make sense? Hell of a different story is what I'm trying to say. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, 14 pitches per inning. And you're going to look at a Kansas City team, that again, like if you look at the game by game, their offense actually probably looks a little bit better and a little bit more consistent. But they faced a decent amount of lefties this year. They're going up against a righty today. So the pitching is kind of like, all right, what are we doing here, right? Like that seems like it could be a pretty damn tough spot for them. But I don't hate taking the shot odds-wise. Again, guys, you got to kind of put into perspective how baseball betting works, and taking underdog flyers is definitely something that helps you pay off. Like yesterday, we hit 4 out of our 5 plays, right? 3 of the 4 that we won were plus money plays. That's going to mean a lot in sort of the long run there, because those are 4 wins, but 3 of them actually, are making more than what we even had to risk. But nonetheless, guys, jumping into a player prop in this spot, actually we'll start with the total. I do like the over in this game. I know I just kind of ragged on the starters and everything like that, but or the offenses, but I just don't see Soroka being an absolute stud today. And I think Seth Lugo could come back down to earth and let in a few runs. So slight lean towards the over. What I like more is actually taking a peek at the first 5 total over 4.5. I could see that definitely happening with these starters. The bullpen stink for the White Sox. Actually, no, for the Royals, right? The White Sox bullpen has been okay as of late. So you have one team that has a starter edge, one team that has the bullpen edge. But for plus 105 odds over on BetMGM, it's actually a plus EV play with expected value here, taking the over 4.5 total runs in this game. DraftKings minus 110, FanDuel minus 114, plus money over on BetMGM at plus 105. So there's a lean towards another play in this spot. And then a player prop that I'm definitely considering is going to take a peek at Michael Soroka here, under 3.5 strikeouts. Just due to the fact that, I don't think he's going to be much of a strikeout guy. My one concern is that Kansas City versus Reddies this year, 26.4% K rate. So definitely something that worries me a little bit, but I just cannot see. He had 0 strikeouts in his first start. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care who you're pitching against. This dude is not a strikeout demon, obviously, right? And for over 2.5 walks, it's plus money as well. So, yes, I'm back in the White Sox here, but I think there's a chance I can also fade the pitcher at the same time, which is kind of weird to say, but that's where this crazy brain is at of mine. But guys, make sure to keep an eye on the pinned comment for all of my final plays. Yesterday was obviously we had a great day, 4-1, I'll take it, but we had so many plays, like Nathan Eovaldi over 5.5 strikeouts for plus 120 odds. I think he had 8. That was definitely going to be a play, and I was like, I just couldn't get myself there going up against Tampa Bay's lineup, but I wish we did. We had tons of other plays that cashed in terms of leans yesterday, but that's the name of the game, right? There's going to be times where I lean stuff, don't make it a final play, and it doesn't hit, and it's like, whew, sigh of relief that we didn't actually put money on it. But there's going to be times that we're like, I wish we had double the amount of bets yesterday because we saw the board pretty clearly. But that's neither here nor there, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great day. I mean, we're heading into the weekend, right? Some people consider Thursday night start of the weekend type of thing. Everyone, happy bettings, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.